Bruce.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. It is an important motion. I thank my friend the member for Fremantle for bringing this debate to the House today, and for the speakers, government and opposition, who've spoken on the motion. I think there's a lot of commonality. That we note the deteriorating human rights and labour rights situation in the Philippines under President Duterte. And I say that at the outset, under President Duterte, quite deliberately, because we should also recognise that this deterioration is of great concern to all countries that value human rights and labour rights standards, to those who consider themselves friends of the Philippines, and I think Australia is certainly one of those, and to the Australian Filipino diaspora. I'm proud to represent many Australians of Filipino heritage, and indeed when I step outside the front door of my electorate office, across the road is the Uniting Church in Dandenong, and the minister there of the last 12 months or so, Berlin Guerrero, is a Filipino Australian who sought asylum in this country some years ago, having previously been abducted and held hostage and tortured under a previous Filipino government for standing up for labour rights and democracy. He's a fantastic chap. And I've also learnt that when you put any speech like this on Facebook, out come the Duterte trolls. So we'll get that bit out up front, that we do value our relationship with the Philippines as one of the 10 members of ASEAN and a bilateral partner with whom Australia has a respectful and cooperative relationship on regional development, maritime security, disaster risk reduction and so on. But it's in that context of friendship that I do echo the sentiments of the motion and say I'm deeply alarmed by the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights June report. It was an alarming report that President Duterte has been using the cover of COVID-19 for phrases like shoot the protesters on sight, to introduce even more draconian security laws. And that, of course, comes on the back of President Duterte's campaign against drugs. At least 8,600 people have been killed, illegally killed, and probably 3 times that number. And so I do note that that report was considered by the Human Rights Council at the United Nations in October 2020. It's disappointing that Australia failed to show leadership in that exercise. We did not raise our voice loudly and push for stronger investigative mechanisms. It was a weak resolution that was passed, and the situation continues to worsen. For human rights activists, for lawyers, I was sent a list by my local community of 60 lawyers that have been killed, judges and prosecutors, in the last 4 years alone. That's just those who are known. 44 lawyers, 7 judges, 9 prosecutors, and as the previous speaker rightly said, media suppression. This is all a worrying trend towards authoritarianism and illiberalism in a country that has been and fought for its democratic rights. You know, I remember it was some decades ago, the revolution, if you like, in the Philippines in support of democracy. And democracy is fragile and must be protected. And so I share the growing concerns echoed in the motion and by my friend the member for Fremantle regarding labour rights and workers, and the International Trade Union Confederation has ranked Philippines as amongst the 10 worst countries in the world for working people. 50 union members and officials have been extrajudicially killed, and the anti-worker climate is now fuelling fears more broadly across society and further undermining democracy. And I just note, and it was good to hear actually the previous speaker express support for the work of the International Labour Organisation, because I do hear scepticism at times from government members about the role of trade unions, but I know from visiting developing countries that in many cases, Cambodia was a case in point when I was there a couple of years ago, that trade unions are sometimes the only truly democratic organisations in the country. And they do such an important role in building civil society and fighting for the values of democracy and a free civil space where people can express their views, that support for trade union organisations and active support by the Australian government for trade unions in developing countries is especially critical. And I think it's a pity that a lot of our international aid and development under this government has cut any of that support on some kind of weird ideological crusade that when we see the word union, that must be bad. They have such a critical role in supporting democracy. And so I do back the last part of the motion, which calls on the Australian government to support the upholding of labour and human rights in line with international standards by endorsing the ILO's resolution to send a high-level tripart mission to the Philippines to conduct an open, transparent and robust investigation of the human rights situation. And also the call, I repeat this, I've spoken before in the Parliament about it, the government's just silent, on auditing the process of Australian security engagements in the Philippines, to make sure that we are not, with our engagement with the police, the security and the defence forces, inadvertently supporting any human rights abuses, given the shameful record, unfortunately, in recent times of those forces suppressing human rights. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
I thank the member for Bruce.